It's Friday, and that means it's time for the Bell Breakdown. There it is. Film critic Josh Bell joins us today reviewing 2 new films. Now, I watched the trailer, half of the trailer for one of them, which was the Rhythm Section, which I know Blake Lively is in, and then the other one is Gretel and Hansel. I don't know why I keep on thinking I'm saying that wrong.
Yeah, well, it's switched up from what people normally say.
So it's messing with my mind here.
Right.
And that one looked pretty creepy to me.
Yes.
So walk me through which one was your worst pick out of the 2.
The worst. We'll start with the worst.
Yeah.
The Rhythm Section is worse, I think. Not that it's the worst, but it's kind of, I feel like the biggest problem with this movie is that Blake Lively is miscast. This is an action revenge thriller, and she can be good in the right part, but I don't know that this is the right one for her, playing this kind of self-destructive woman. She spirals out after her family is killed in this terrorist bombing, and she's a drug addict, and she's a prostitute, and she's strung out until she finds purpose to seek revenge and train and become, you know, a James Bond, Jason Bourne kind of person, agent of some kind. And Blake Lively is very aloof and kind of regal as a performer, and I think that can work really well in certain roles, but I think this movie needed a performer who was a little more earthy, a little more grounded, and so that's already a disconnect. She's also doing a not very good British accent in this movie.
I was going to ask you what you thought, because I did
problem.
notice that in the trailer, and at first I wasn't sure who was talking.
It's her.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not only not that great, but she kind of isn't really like doing it a lot, so it's just more distracting. Jude Law plays the kind of mentor who recruits her and helps train her, and Sterling K. Brown is also in it as a sort of rival slash ally, depending on where the story is at the moment. The story itself, though, is kind of muddled. There's parts of it that it wasn't entirely clear to me who she's seeking or who is actually responsible for things. There's a great car chase in this movie. Like in the middle of the movie, when I was bored and kind of confused, all of a sudden there's this amazing single take car chase. And I feel like if more of the movie had had action that was that exciting and well shot, it wouldn't have mattered as much that the plot wasn't very interesting, but that's really the only exciting moment in this movie.
So why do you think she was cast in this role? I'm always curious when there's a disconnect, an obvious disconnect when the movie comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I think she probably lobbied for something like this, wanting to show off her range.
Something different,
and it makes sense, and she is a well-known actor, obviously. It's name recognition, and I think sometimes that works out. Sometimes you see a movie like this and think, wow, I never would have expected that person in that role, and they really do an amazing job. And to me, this just didn't. I spent most of this movie thinking about who could have been better in the role. And not to say that Blake Lively is terrible, it just isn't the right fit for her.
Okay, so would you recommend this for a certain type of person?
I mean, unless you're a Blake Lively super fan, which probably some people are. No, I don't think that car chase is great if you're an action movie junkie, but you could catch this at home at some point and just fast forward to that part, probably. That's all you need to see.
Well, there you go. All right, let's get to the second one now. I did watch part of this trailer as well, and it seemed a little long and very creepy to me. So tell me why. I know it's a grim take on the story, on the fairy tale.
It is creepy. I don't know if the trailer was long. The movie is actually quite short, which I thought was to its credit, because of course the actual story of Gretel and Hansel that everyone knows from when you're kids is not very long. There's not a whole lot to it. So to put it into a feature film, you need to stretch things out a bit. And I feel like they did enough of that here, but it didn't wear out its welcome. And this is mostly, in the basic sense, the story that you're familiar with. Gretel and Hansel are brother and sister. Here, Sophia Lillis from the It movies plays Gretel as an older teenager, and Hansel is a little boy, so there's more of an age difference, and she's kind of charged with taking care of him. They get kicked out of their home and wander through the woods and come across a witch's house and are drawn in by rich foods, but the witch has ulterior motives, which of course we know is to eat them. It's not really a spoiler. You know that by the time you're 4 years old or whatever. But the take on this is, visually, this movie is stunning. There's so many creepy images and the dark, ominous tone. Sophia Lillis is really good. There's sort of a twist up here where the witch is evil, but also is trying to kind of draw Gretel out. who also has potential evil witch powers. So there's a different dynamic there. There's just, the pacing is, it's slow. This isn't a movie that's gonna jump out at you with a lot of loud noises and things like that, but it's deliberate and meticulous, and I think it really draws you in. I like this director, Osgood Perkins, a lot. He made a couple of smaller horror movies called I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House and The Black Coat's Daughter, which I think are both on Netflix, which I really liked and wasn't sure about him doing a bigger production, but this maintains that kind of art house feel to it while telling a more straightforward story. So if you're a horror fan, I recommend this film.
So this one is hands down better than the other one.
It is better than the other one. Like I said, not that that's a terrible movie. It's just kind of a muddled misfire. This movie, I think, works as exactly what it's trying to do. Again, it's not gory. It's not a slasher movie. It's not even all that suspenseful. But in terms of bringing you into this world, the way that it looks, the way that it's paced, Alice Krige as well, who plays the witch, is really sinister. Like, I think it does exactly what it's trying to do, and it really drew me in.
All right, well, I have to ask you this just because the Oscars are next week.
They are.
What is your pick for Best Picture?
In terms of my personal favorite?
Yes.
It's Little Women. I love Little Women. I don't think it's going to win, unfortunately, but that was one of my absolute favorite movies last year, and I would love to see it win.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much. I got to write that down, and I got to go take and watch that movie as well. Thank you so much, Josh Bell. We will be right back.